ladies and also the guys.
Yes. Thank you, Sandeep. So I know that we have a lot of people with a lot of curious questions to know about team coaching. And of late, I've been finding a lot of people showing a lot of interest in understanding what is this all about. So before we move any further, I would really like to know that if you can share with us, what is that you want to learn from today's session? I don't want you to type it on the chat. We would like to get it recorded. So I'm going to paste a link, Mentimeter. Please click on that link and then please answer that question. Probably will take a minute and allow everybody to answer. You can answer multiple times if in case you have more than one thing to share with us. Yeah. Yeah. Are you able to see the link? Okay. The topmost question, right? What is team coaching? All right, we'll allow another few minutes for people to just log in. I don't know what I do not know about team coaching. Okay. Okay. How is team coaching different from team training? Okay. How is team coaching different from other disciplines like facilitation, relevance, techniques, challenges of systemic team coaching? Right. Lena, we'll just give another 10 seconds for people to fill this up. All right. So I think you can still continue to fill your questions and what you want to share and what you want to take away from the session. We will try and answering all of them probably in the session today. And for some reason we run out of time, please feel free to get in touch with Jaya, Sandeep, or me. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions that's left unanswered here. All right, now we will be now requesting you to join us in the breakout rooms. We have 2 questions which you want us to discuss in the breakout rooms. I'm going to type in the questions here for you. Just give me a second. For those who are joining in, we are just waiting for you to get into the breakout rooms, and I'm just typing in the question which you'll have to be discussing there. All right. What are the challenges of a team in today's post-pandemic world? And what would you choose as a coach? Coaching individuals in a team or coaching the team, and why? So you have 20 minutes to discuss this, and you would be coming back into the main room, and please choose one person from your team who can probably summarize the discussion for us here. Probably we will have time about 10 minutes to discuss this before we move on to the next segment. Yeah, any questions? Is that clear? Yeah, a confirmation would be good. Maybe a thumbs up or a sign. Yeah, great. So Jaya, are we ready to do the breakout?
Yeah, actually there are just dropouts meanwhile, so that's why I just having issues. Okay, so all right, I'm opening the rooms. Hi, Seema. Okay.
And discussions, a lot of areas where there's obvious challenges of team not meeting in person, and the cohesion going away, and they don't know each other. Especially Kulzoom brought in this point that a lot of people have joined in during the pandemic, so they don't know each other. So these are very obvious things that has happened, and it's known to all of us. So we went deeper, and Geeta helped us go deeper into this, and she said that while teams have got their challenges, personal challenges, uh, professional challenges, in the mind some challenges, and we don't talk to each other, team members, during the pandemic especially. And when we happen to talk, when we were in person, then we realize that yes, this problem I am also facing, and that is where my way forward is some kind of a problem. And then the cohesion in the team becomes stronger, and then they row the boat in unison, and then they get the speed for the organization. So these are some challenges which is very, very difficult to address, although it's possible to address them during the pandemic situation. These very finer things have affected the team working. Uh, Apart from all the usual stuff of no team meeting, not looking into the eyes of each other, not seeing the body language, not doing the off video mode discussions, and handling a baby and the meeting together, a lot of things. So all that are there. I mean, we should.
Yeah.
That's very, very, very obvious. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rajesh, for bringing in that. I think what I'm understanding is the lack of connection and the inability to relate to one another, right? And I think there is enough data which is actually supporting what you're bringing in for discussion. There's an interesting data which said belongingness has reduced post-pandemic, right? Not even during 2020, but in 2021, I think the belongingness aspect has reduced big time in the workplace, which has got a direct effect on the productivity, the resilience, the communications, and the retentions that's happening in corporates. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah. So any other group, would you like to bring any other? Yes, Vipul, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Seema. Seema, would you like to share? Sorry, we didn't assign somebody.
Okay.
No, it's okay, Vipul, please, you carry on, you can share. I mean, we were actually, talking about human connection part more, that how it has impacted coordination, in fact, leading, managing. And we have also come out with the word spontaneous, when you are in person in your office space, if some issue is pending, you spontaneously get up and then, you get it resolved. But here now we have an excuse of that technology is there. Sometimes net is not getting connected. Sometimes your calls are not getting connected. So you tend to take those particular topics or issues or concerns on the backstage. So the spontaneity is actually is also one of the major point what we have thought. People, you can add in case if I missed out anything else.
I actually I wanted to pick up from what you also said, Sudha, about belongingness. And I think the great resignation is also an offshoot of that factor. And like Seema said about connection, I feel it's uh, the stress somehow is an offshoot of not feeling connected because there is no outlet anymore, which was spontaneously available earlier. And then it also impacts productivity and eventually company mission and vision.
Yeah. All right. Is it
Also, Sudha, if I may add, the celebrations, have gone down. I mean, we have seen that people have celebrated, tried to do a cheers in front of the laptop screen, but that doesn't work. And when the team that celebrates together stays together, is what they say. So that is also a big challenge.
Yeah.
Just to add on to the earlier points.
Great. So, yeah, Johnny.
So we had a very interesting experience. I had a partner in the group, and what I learned from this 15-minute is the brief for the team breakout was something to discuss about there and then. And what we discovered was the here and now. And how can the two of us explore what's been given to us? And in that exploration, we figured that we need to shift the there and then to the here and now. And we kind of spend the time to understand the context of each other, and that's a very powerful learning for me, because it is from the here and now the shift happens to the there and then. So in the team context, take stock of where each one of us are currently in the space that we have created, and then from the here and now look at the there and then.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have permission from my partner to discuss any further, so I'm limiting this much.
So beautifully put, so beautifully shared, especially in the team coaching context. I think, but in any context, first we need to know where we are even before we talk about where we want to be. Very well said. So is there anything else coming up for the first question?
I just want to acknowledge what Johnny, said right now. And can I call you Johnny or Joseph? Johnny. All right.
Joseph is my father. Johnny is my name.
Sure. When Seema and I started talking, the focus was on answering the questions. And then there was a pause to just get to know each other despite the clock ticking, right? And when Johnny spoke about the here and now, the conversation and the kind of conversation changes. And it changed for us just because we got to know a bit about each other. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, what I'm again hearing is the power of connection and the comfort that it brings with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's a human connection.
Yes, yes. So I think I'll be inviting in Jaya and Sandeep very soon for us to talk about more about this connection and how that is so relevant in team coaching context. Before that, I just wanted to know, there was another question that was asked to you, right? As a coach, who would you like to coach? Individuals, or would you like to be coaching teams, and why?
I was pausing, so I thought maybe somebody else would like to, but I'll go ahead. I have experience of coaching individuals, and one of my purpose to come here for this session was to learn how to coach teams and even learn what does it mean to coach teams actually. Distinguish it from doing a 2-day workshop or a group coaching, So I don't know what it means, but I find that if I have a choice, I would like to coach. Now, this is all very conceptual because I haven't done it, but I would like to coach a team because somewhere the impact would be greater. People work in organizations, you coach a team, they work together, so it impacts the vision of the organization. So somewhere that ripple effect, that's what I would like to do. But I have so many questions related to that.
Yes.
I'll pause right now and yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Hold on, Vipul. We'll be answering them very soon.
Sure.
Yeah. Probably we can take one more person. Yeah.
So actually, what we discussed in the group, Sudha, justifies the very fact that we are here for learning more about team coaching, because we were finding it very difficult to articulate ourselves what is team coaching and the concept, and because all of us more often than not have been doing some individual coaching, and we know a little bit way go a lot of things to achieve there. But so we discussed about team coaching, and what we agreed, the three four of us, is that depending on the issues that we have, if we have an individual issue, then individual coaching, or team issues, so team coaching is required. Given a choice, what we would like to do is something which we would like to understand in this session, when we understand what is team coaching better. But one point which we discussed, and I thought very relevant to mention it here, was that there are different value system, belief systems of different people who make a team. So when you go forward and carve and how you enable them to achieve their professional goals, so you have to work on the common minimum program, common minimum belief system of the team members who make the team, or you align them even forcibly to the belief system of the organization to which the team is part of. That is a challenge, and we would like to learn more about that. So that's something which we were discussing. Is that okay, Geeta and Prashad and Kulsum, how we expressed?
Absolutely right. Very right.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So if there aren't any more sharings, so I think it's time for me to invite Jaya and Sandeep. In fact, we went through the questions that were submitted by all of you initially in the Mentimeter. I think, as always, right, the topmost, the number one question, which was of curiosity to all of us here, is what is team coaching? Yeah. So I would now invite Jaya and Sandeep, who've been teaching the systemic team coaching course for the last 2 years successfully, and have been doing a lot of work working with teams in the team coaching space. And I would want now Jaya and Sandeep to come in and answer, what is team coaching according to you?
Sandeep, you want to start?
Okay. So yeah, simply speaking, team coaching is coaching the team. But I think nothing is as simple as it sounds, right? Really, right? And the distinction lies that when you coach a team, you really don't coach the individuals in the team. You coach the relationships which the individuals have within the team. And as I was listening to the, Rajesh's point about, whether we should draw a common minimum program, individual beliefs versus team versus organizational beliefs, I think it's not so much about a common minimum program. It is about how do we get to align them? How do we get these individuals to put out their belief systems openly, first of all, and then be able to find connectors on which we build first the team's belief system and then the organization's belief system. Because in today's world, nobody can force anything on anybody. And especially in the organizational world, when the hunt for talent is so serious, if you try and push people too much in a corner, they'll just find another job, another organization. It'll become very transactional. This is really not what we want. So team coaching is about how do we coach the relationships between individuals so that as one entity, the team can perform at a much elevated level when, as compared to where they were. It's about focusing the team not only on the outcomes, but also the process, the behaviors, the actions which lead to that outcome. So that's a little bit what I think. Jia, over to you.
Okay. So, building on what Sandeep said, you're really trying to create alignment about the purpose, the mission, the action, the behaviors, and that's the process, really. How do you bring everybody together in spite of the disruption in the moment, in spite of difference of belief system in the generations and their priorities, right? How do you create a common connection between personal purpose and organizational purpose? How do you create a purpose of team that people want to? It's a pull strategy, can't be a push strategy, right? So like in coaching, we create a lot of receptivity in the individual to take action. We do the same for the team. So it's a lot about coaching the relationships, the environment, the culture, than coaching the individual, right? How do you bring them together in their minds to say, now you take action, and what's coming in your way, and what's your challenge, and if this is not the right place, where it is. So the whole process of team coaching, the whole reason it is different from facilitation is it's long drawn. It works on the roots, the foundation, like you work on individuals, but the process is different, the focus is different. It's much more complex because we're talking about system, you're talking about stakeholders, you're talking about market, you're talking about global economy, you're talking about personal purpose, you're talking about organizational purpose, and how do you bring all that together, right? So that's the reason why it is complicated, and hence any one skill cannot justify. Whether it is coaching, it cannot justify, it needs facilitation. Only facilitation cannot justify, it needs coaching, storytelling. At times you have to train people on some of the skills like listening, questioning. So it is a blend. It's a blend of how do you achieve the common collective purpose through all these skills. And hence team coaching is a very demanding profession to be, integrating, and actually can be a very fascinating profession for someone who has been in the field of training, coaching, facilitation, because they can bring all that together here.
Yeah.
You can use every skill and make it, again, creative. But ultimately, you're dealing with humans. That's how I'll answer that.
Yeah. And I think just one point on, we discussed a little bit about complexity of, coaching a team versus an individual. I think we should also remember that this complexity with every additional member in the team actually increases not linearly, but exponentially. Because every new member in the team means multiple relationships, and all those relationships undergo a change. And I think that is where the strength of team coaching lies, that how do you help people deal with these relationships better? An important aspect, and I think we dwell quite a bit in the program also on that, is about psychological safety. How do you build that in teams? And that is a big part of the outcome which we as team coaches want to achieve.
In fact, Sandeep and Jaya, thank you so much for explaining that. And many a times I've heard this from people, right? Is team coaching, just multiplying the number of individuals. Like if you have 10 people, is it like, coaching 10 individuals in a team? Is it called team coaching? So another popular question I think that's come up is, how do you distinguish between individual coaching, team coaching, and group coaching? What is the difference?
So I think we just spoke about individual and team coaching. The difference between team and group is team is a finance team working together, and group is finance head, HR head, legal head working together. That's a group. They have their own different agendas. They're coming together. So the themes are similar. So let's say out of 10 department heads, 4 have a need to build assertiveness, 4 have a need to build, let's say, more positive attitude, things like that. So it becomes theme based then. Then you're talking to them, finding a common ground of that group. So the way we do assessments in individual coaching, there are assessments done in the organizations to come to a common place, and then they categorize them into different themes and say, hey, now this is a group. Can you help them build assertiveness? They all belong to different teams. Their agendas do not overlap, but they have a common thing to work on. So then we put them in a group and then we start coaching them. Team is, so that the key difference becomes that when I'm coaching a team, they have a common goals to achieve. So I can actually build my coaching around that. But when I'm coaching a group, then they have a common value system or value, a common purpose. Their goal may not be same. Value and vision and mission is same. Then I build my coaching around that. So in both the cases, so understood the difference between team and group. So you just find a common ground to say, hey, what is common for all of them? And then you start coaching on them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And maybe, yes, Sudha, please.
No, from what you said, Jay, it also looks to be one of the key differences. In a group, there are no dependencies on each other. Right? When you said they're working on a common value or you work around that. But whereas in team, probably because it's a common goal, there are also dependencies.
Yeah, and they both are complicated and simple in their own respects, because in group, nobody cares, you know, what's my agenda, I'm coming here for myself. In team, at least there is a little bit of, or if it is a dysfunctional team, that's another challenge. Then you're actually starting from the trust levels. And if it is a team which the interdependency is functional, then the work becomes easy, which is rarely the case. Nobody comes when everything is fine. Organizations will come to you when things are dysfunctional, right? So the focus is very different in team coaching. It's mostly around building trust and relationship for each other. In group, it is more about addressing the group's need, which is their individual need. And they really, I mean, so many group conversations, we tell them, hey, connect offline. Nobody does. They don't care. It's not their agenda. So
yeah, Sandeep, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying that the essence lies that when you coach people, a certain number of people as a single entity, you are not focused so much on individuals as I was talking earlier. You are focused a little bit on the relationships and how the team works together. I think also essentially the difference lies in the definition of team itself. You know, team is a small number of people having complementary skills, working towards a shared purpose and having mutual interdependencies, right? Group doesn't have any of these. So group, the common thing when you're coaching people is, as Jia was saying, that you have, let's say, you identify a certain competency or a certain behavior. Now you just basically coach the entire group on those specific competencies or behaviors, but they don't have a shared goal, which they have to achieve together. So that is really what the difference is. When you are coaching a team, you are trying to understand, for example, how the team as a single entity is going to connect with its stakeholders. How is it going to co-create within itself the kind of behaviors, actions, processes that they want to adopt? How are they going to work with each other? How is the team going to continue to learn so that it continues to become better over a period of time? Now, all these things are a little bit about coaching the team and not so much coaching the group.
Yeah.
And the important thing is that a lot of times when you sign up for engagements, the organizations may be as confused as, you know, some of us may be in the distinction between team and group coaching. So you may be the one who actually clarifies whether this intervention is a group coaching intervention or is it a team coaching intervention.
Yeah, makes sense. Like in the individual coaching, right? We clarify
Exactly.
to them what is coaching and what is not. And
yeah.
All right. I think the other curious thing people would like to know from you and Sandeep, Jaya, is what are the different frameworks that you teach in the systemic team coaching course that you do?
Okay, so we actually start the journey from talking about what is systemic thinking. What do you really mean by systemic thinking, and how is that relevant in a team coaching or group coaching context, and how does it connect? How will it help me in my work when I'm doing a team coaching or a group coaching stuff? So that's where the journey starts. Then we talk about dysfunctionals. We also talk about sit, clear, and peril models, which are basically two different methods of doing team coaching. The purpose is same, but the way they do it is different. And then some of the assessments and tools and strategies. The whole idea is to blend whatever works for all of us rather than preaching one model. That's really the idea, because one philosophy doesn't work in any program. I mean, I don't believe in that. At least I think Sandeep also agrees that there is no one framework that fits all the organizations. So then our focus is how do we bring multiple frameworks to equip you with anything that comes your way. And then we stay together in the form of community, because this is an evolving field. We learn monthly basis. We come together and say, hey, these are the scenarios I'm facing. What do you think can be applied, and work together on that.
Yeah, and besides all this, we also cover ICF competencies, team competencies, which is only actually just about a year old. So you know that how recent team coaching is in some ways, while everybody has had their individual frameworks, people have been coaching teams, but there's really not been any ICF blessing to it as such. And it's only with these competencies that it's become a bit more recognized. I think organizations understand, and there is a certain competency framework, code of ethics that we need to follow as team coaches. So I think we also go into the details of team coaching, and as some of you would have read, it's fairly distinct from individual coaching. And one distinction which we were also a little surprised when these came out is the fact that team coaching very clearly says that the coach can be a bit more directive, which is completely unacceptable when you are coaching individuals. So, that also means that you need a different kind of skill set as you get into team coaching engagements versus individual coaching.
Yeah. I think you've already answered some of it, but still very specifically, I'm asking you this question. How is this course different from the other courses that's being offered in the space of systemic team coaching?
So I think one, as Jaya was saying, we are not for one framework. I think that is the biggest difference, because every program that you today see on team coaching will offer you one framework and only one framework. So for us, I think the value that we bring in this program is that we have multiple frameworks and we bring in practical knowledge. So Jia, as you know, is a highly recognized, acclaimed MCC coach, works with individuals, with teams, with groups as a mentor, and a very solid background as a coach. On the other hand, I bring in my finance and business leadership experience across Asia Pacific, now as a consultant working on transformation projects, change, etc., etc. So all what we talk about is tested in reality. And we share our own case studies and our own journeys as coaches. And we actually, discuss one or two specific cases that we've done. And, that kind of helps us a little bit share how we've gone about it, what we've learned along the way, and how you could possibly benefit from some of those learnings.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is you cannot codify programs in today's world. It has to evolve. Every program has to be better than the earlier one, more evolved, more information, more knowledge, more tool based on how the world is changing. And that's something we clearly display in all our programs in Abhyudaya, that no program is codified. If you ask me, give me a script of how you go about it, I'm sorry, I won't be able to give it, because whatever I'm learning, I'm putting it in my programs. So it is a disadvantage also, because it's hard to train other people on the course, and advantage at the same time, because you get the latest, like what is going on right now, So our two cohorts we have done majorly apart, and then we look for people to equip with whatever has been added on to the program. So that's the biggest one I see in our programs, that we start seeing our programs obsolete very soon, and then we have to upgrade and upgrade and upgrade. Every time there is so much of effort going on upgrading the programs.
Yeah, and I think one other point to add is the fact that as part of this program, we share a whole lot of questionnaires, tools, frameworks, and that is part of the course material, which means some of those questionnaires, you will realize you can just take them and you can use them in your coaching engagements. So effectively, all that is taught is not so much theory, but very much rooted in practice. Things you would be able to pick up and use them as part of your engagements. I'm almost certain, and I'm hoping to discover any other, and I'm willing to put my buck on this, any other systemic team coaching program which offers multiple frameworks and gives handy tools which you can use without kind of limiting to one philosophy or the other. And if you find something, do let us know. We would like to improve on what we have on offer as of now.
Yeah, I mean, today's learning environment needs that curation of best thing available everywhere. And that's what we want to do. If you're spending money and investment time and all that, you should get the curation of whatever is available in the market rather than saying just single-handedly look at this framework and just go and coach. It doesn't work like that. I mean, every organization is different. Their culture is different. Organization is changing so rapidly. Is it even possible to stick to any one framework?
Yeah, and sometimes you are the ones who are contributing to some of these frameworks, from our initial cohorts to our last cohort. The frameworks have undergone a change. There are many more, and some of them kind of have been a little bit curated and modified based on the learnings that have come up in these cohorts. And then, as Jia was saying, the community, attending this, being part of the STC monthly community is an opportunity for you to bring back your challenges when you are coaching teams. And we can share our experiences that how did we go about handling some of those challenges. So I think in some ways, I would like to call it's an opportunity for supervision without actually paying for it.
Yeah, I think thanks for sharing that last point, Sandeep. I think two things that stayed with me from what you and Jaya shared. One, this is not a course that's designed and, and then it's just being delivered course after course, but it is continuously updated and it's very relevant to the current industry requirements. And the other one is this community part, right? So there is, I think all of us here, we're talking about the need for connection, the need for relating to each other. So coming back there, I think this community would really help people to probably stay connected. And as you very rightly said, free supervision, free mentoring. Yeah. All right. I've been reading reports on the people. Somebody wanting to ask a question?
Yeah, Sudha, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't put that question down and there are a lot of questions that come spontaneously. So
sure.
A quick question. How do you measure the impact of team coaching? And I don't mean it from a critical measurement point of view. I really mean that as a team coach, how do I know things are moving forward? I don't know if it's a question you can answer right now, but it's just a very,
So there is like one-to-one, there is 360-degree assessment for teams as well. Even I think you're Hogan certified, right, people?
No, I'm not.
Okay, sorry. So in Hogan also there is a team repository and the team 360-degree feedback can be taken. In fact, most of your instruments can be converted. So we use the instruments generally to start and end with.
Okay.
Very important is perception change and relationship change. So feedback of everybody about what impact did they see about this intervention itself is a testimony at this stage. And there is no absolute measurement in coaching as we know.
Right. Because Sandeep has mentioned relationship being such a critical factor, right? Yeah. And I'm just curious, and I know there's no easy answer. I'm from the same fraternity. I know the challenges we face when we're when we're asked about ROI and measurement of things. But just at a very visceral level, how do you feel that this has moved ahead? The team has moved ahead and how long are these interventions for? For example, if I take up an assignment with a client, how long do they last?
So interesting question. See, the thing is in India, this field is evolving and a lot of requests that right now comes is more of group coaching than team coaching right now. And generally I have seen engagements from 3 months to 6 months in group. right? So because it comes with its own complexity of people being available, time logged into training, blah blah blah. 3 to 6 months is a period I have seen myself doing some of these engagements, and the movement is purely based on perception and feedback from everybody who's involved.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll just build on that. While Jaya says 3 to 6 months, and I think she's absolutely right as far as group coaching is concerned. But for a team coaching engagements, I would think 6 months would be the minimum, and probably 9 months would be the ideal, or even 12 months if the client is willing to do that. That's one piece. Second is that she spoke about the 360-degree questionnaires, and we need to understand that 360-degree questionnaires are not questionnaires which are about individuals in the team. It is a questionnaire for team as a single entity. So when you see improvements on those scores, you clearly see the team working better together. So that's the second piece. The third piece is that, and that's where some of the practical experience comes, is that how can you identify one or two areas where the team is actually working in terms of outcomes, and you help them work on those outcomes using the new behaviors, trying the new behaviors, etc., etc.
Sure.
So which means that you are helping them deliver the outcomes better and working on those outcomes in a better way along the way.
And Sandeep, just a question connected to that, how does the responsibility of a team coach differ from the responsibility of an individual coach? When you said that we are helping them with the outcomes, are we also taking the onus, or we are looking at that, as a derived benefit?
We are not kind of responsible for the outcomes, but at the same time, as a team coach, we ensure that their focus on the outcome remains. They don't take the eye off the ball.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's the same thing as, in some ways, the team, in sports, and sports is sometimes not the right analogy to give for coaching. A lot of people don't agree with that, but at least in one way it works is that you have a team and you have a coach outside the team. So he cannot directly influence the results of the team, but he can ensure that there is enough awareness within the team to focus on the results.
Yeah.
And that's the way it works.
Right. Thank you, Sandeep, and thanks, Jaya. Just a quick question on the responsibility aspect. I feel with so much complexity, you've got to look at so many things in team coaching. The responsibility, like, it feels more weighted. Just when you were talking about it, I felt heavy. And we're always talking about the client doing the heavy lifting, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the element of it being directive, also creates a sense of like a mentor element in it.
Yeah.
How does that work? Yeah.
So being a team coach, you have boundaries that you should not cross. The moment you cross, you'll start feeling you're carrying the load. Like you're not doing team managers' work. You're not tracking their goals. There are a few things that you don't do. So that you are totally, you have a space to stay unbiased and still be directive. Right. So the conversation is also about knowing your role. What is not your role? You are not here to tell CEO that I will create the magic. No, that's not how it is. Right.
And
so
how do you
how do you create shared responsibility while doing your work? How do you prepare the team in a way that there is less and less dependency on you once you leave? How do you create a lot of and their skill building is also part of the program then. You are also educating them on some of the things so that slowly they are less and less dependent on you. And then knowing your boundaries, what are the things you're not supposed to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank
Does that
you.
feel a little light now?
Yeah. Thank you.
I must also say that it's not unheard that, team coaching is where organizations accept, most of the coaches do, when you take a co-coach along. So you partner with somebody who, and especially if the team is beyond, let's say, 5 people or so, you may want to have a co-coach who partners with you on these engagements. And most of the case studies that you would read, you will see a reference to a co-coach, a lot of engagements done with a co-coach.
And also because, you're dealing with so many things at the same time, you can't see everything. And that's where team coach supervision comes in place, that work with a supervisor who can help you see things that you can't see in the system. And that conversation helps you build further on your practice.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes,
Thank
right.
you.
I see your hand
Yeah,
raised.
thanks, Jay and Sandeep, for answering so many questions, and that clarifies a lot of doubts that we had. Now, this seems to be, being a business leader myself, I can very well say that this seems to be a very, very strong tool, which is not really been tried by the corporates in a big way, as I know. So I have two questions. One, uh, is there any tool or technique that is absolutely unique to team coaching versus individual coaching? That's one. And second, when you are hired as a team coach, what are the success factors basis which uh, an organization hires you?
Okay, Sandeep, you want to start?
So I'll ask the second question first. I've seen that especially in team coaching engagements, organizations look at somebody who brings in experience beyond the experience of a coach. Whether you deploy that experience or not is a second question, is a different question. And I think if you decide to deploy that experience, you have to make sure you take off your team coach's hat and wear the hat of a, let's say a trainer or a consultant or a facilitator, whatever be it. But very clearly, organizations look at more wholesome experience when they look at team coach, because they also know that these are much more intensive engagements. So that's one piece. They obviously look at and they may want to understand what kind of frameworks do you use, etc. And even if sometimes organizations may not understand what these frameworks are, but that's a way of their testing their knowledge about your competencies as a team coach. So that's the second piece. Now,
so Sandeep, before
yeah,
you go to the first
sure.
one, let me understand it better. So if I was with Apollo Tires and we had this Grow Talent, Anil Sachdev's company, doing a leadership development program for the high potential guys, and I was part of it. And now I'm thinking whether it was a team coaching or not. It was definitely not, because this was more directive, more, prescriptive, etc. Okay. So my question is, suppose I, as Apollo Tire, want to hire a team coach. I will tell him, Mr. So and so, please come here, and I would like you to intervene and bring about these changes in my team. And I've tried enough. I've tried training. I've tried this, that, the other. So what is that new? What is that success factor that you're bringing onto the table for me? If I ask.
So yeah.
Let me take that up. So
Okay.
Rajesh, the thing is, the agenda of the owner of the company is the team should be able to deliver the results, right? And the reasons where it doesn't is not the intentions, but the lack of collectiveness. Everybody's driving their own agenda. People are not aligned. Distraction, confusion. And the team coach is basically focusing on the culture and the relationship of the team, and tying all of them together and making sure that they're looking at the right place, right? Which includes training, includes facilitation, includes team building, includes coaching, includes storytelling. And saying, hey, so it's like a juggler, right?
Yeah.
Who needs to make sure that whatever it takes in terms of behavior, and everything is connected to behavior, right? Whatever it takes, let's bring that at one place and move the team, move the culture, move the relationship, and leave them at a better place where they are cohesive. Because the whole reason why somebody would like to invest is only when things are not in their control.
Absolutely. So what I hear you saying there is that team coaching is a part of the overall intervention, which will include training, a lot of things.
It'll have
And
elements of everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as such, only team coaching intervention may not be a proposal which can be taken to an organization.
No, it can be. It can be. You know, as long as you have. So let me give you a small example, and I'm just want to bring in a little bit of a practical aspect to it. Let's say you are a team of 6 people, right? Now you are trying to build certain kind of cultures, behaviors in the organization. You may have had all kinds of discussions, but your team may not have moved from the discussions to actions. Now, if I was a team coach, I would possibly, one of the simplest exercises I would do is on a whiteboard, tell people to kind of draw a list of green card behaviors, red card behaviors. Green card behaviors are the ones that I want to continue, start in this team. Red card behaviors are I want to discontinue. Do an exercise like that. That in itself could be start of a team coaching journey. Then you know, and you've collectively kind of contributed to that what is the green card behaviors we want to build, what are the red card behaviors we want to stop. And then you build a journey along that. Saying, now, how are we going to do this? Are we going to be open with each other to call out that this is a behavior which we are, as a team, we agreed is not going to be acceptable, for example. And that's a small example, but similarly, you could start with a questionnaire. You could dissect the questionnaire with the team, and then you could start to work on elements which come out of that survey, saying these are the things that we want to work on. This is the way the stakeholders look at this team. And these are the areas where we need to improve on. Now, these could be very simplistic examples, but all these little tools, frameworks, etc., piece by piece help you along in this journey as a team coach. And sometimes you may actually, as Jay is saying, you may take off your team coach's hat and say, okay, today I'm going to conduct half a day training session on listening skills.
And a lot of team coaching foundation is about creating the reflection habit in the team. That's what coaching is all about, right? So how do you build the culture of reflection, getting them to circle times and say, hey, think about your relationships, what's going on? Let's just think about how you're listening to your teams. Let's just think about this and that. And rest is bringing tools. So there are times that people can say, you know what, I feel I'm not equipped about something to lead my role. Okay, so what do you need? You need a behavior, you need a skill. You need a skill, go learn it. If you need a behavior, let's talk about it. Because what is your problem is other people's problem also. Let's collectively find a solution. Right? So team coaching is made up of all these interventions. And how do you, take the whole team together? So to answer to your question about unique tools, Sit Clear and Peril are the unique models or frameworks to run team coaching engagement. And that includes these skills and these interventions, skill building, everything comes under that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Reflection is a very big piece of team coaching. How do you build collective thinking, collective reflection in the team? Yes, Sudha.
All right. So do we have more questions? Okay, I have a question while others keep thinking. And
I think Rajesh also probably switched on his mic, so maybe he has a question to ask.
Sandeep, you are very observant. I just switched on the mic. Okay, yes, because I was pausing and expecting others to put in the question, because I'm asking too many questions actually.
No worries.
I was thinking,
that's
Sandeep,
what makes conversation interesting.
Sandeep, I was thinking, if you have to pitch to a uninformed, so to say, Lala, I don't usually use that word, but you know what it means. Organization, that I'm a team coach. Okay, I'm going to intervene like this. So he will tell me in very clear Hindi, कि जी मैंने सब कुछ ट्राई कर लिया, पॉलिटिक्स अभी भी है, ठीक है, कॉमन गोल तभी जाते हैं जब डंडे मारते हैं, तभी अचीवमेंट होता है, ठीक है. So आप ऐसा क्या करेंगे? What will that extra or unique you will do that Mr. Sajdev did not do, that Mr. Kumar did not do, that Mr. Jain did not do earlier?
Mhm.
So what is that pitch? What is that pitch? I mean, if it's in the purview of this discussion, it's fine. Otherwise, we might like to discuss it some other day.
So one is just to mention that, as part of this entire engagement, last, I would say, the conversation or the task is all about everybody in the program in small teams coming together with putting a proposal together on how are you going to intervene, what is it that you're going to work on, what is the coaching journey going to look like. And that is where you get an opportunity to take a deep dive into all the frameworks and all the learnings that have happened and create a map for yourself and for the client that this is how I am going to approach this engagement. Obviously, clients come in different forms and shapes. And there is a possibility that some of the absolute extreme ones, you may not be able to convince them about the value in team coaching. But having said that, I think any organization of, today's world and who value individual coaching are bound to value team coaching. Yes, if there are organizations with whom team coaching has not been too successful, then there's no way that you're likely to succeed with team coaching with them because they don't see any value.
And same thing goes for individual coaching. How many organizations have you been able to convince? You can work with organizations who are convinced and they're coming to you. Same goes for team. It's an investment. A business leader looks at कि खर्चा है कि पैसा आ रहा है कि जा रहा है.
But yeah, you're absolutely, I totally agree. But if you've proven it once or twice in the organization with two people, and the rogues have turned good souls, and that,
Agree.
then the Padha Likha Lala or MNC senior guy, L&D chief, they would come to you, and that has happened. That's my experience.
Yeah. So one of the way I have seen the wave changing is the L&Ds and HRs picking up coaching certifications, right? That's when they started understanding the field, started inviting. I think team coaching and group coaching is, I don't think, I believe, and I know, and I see that is how this wave is also going. Yeah. They will try and then they will. And this journey is much shorter because coaching is already there. Earlier, when coaching was not there, I remember I struggled explaining coaching to organizations. And all of you do. We all do, right? Till the time the internal resource does not come and experience it, they are the people who are changing the wave.
Very true.
Right. So team coaching is also, and right now also, by the way, all the engagements that we do are highly controlled internally, which is a good thing. They're taking ownership, they're taking accountability, they're designing the initiatives. They're saying, okay, we have done the development goals till here. Now you take it on. Now you coach, which is great. They're actually doing all the work of defining the measure of success, defining the purpose of the initiative. That's what we want. We want them to take ownership of their organization. So this is happening. But yes.
Yeah.
India is diverse and businessmen in India are diverse, and I can't speak for everyone. It's just crazy.
And let's not talk about India alone. I think it's also true that, team coaching is today where individual coaching was 10 years ago. So the fact that ICF has recognized team coaching in true sense only a year ago with the team competencies, team coaching competencies, how do we expect even organizations to, all of them to understand the value? Honestly, for me, my first port of call for a team coaching engagement is going to be a little bit preaching to the converted. People who've seen the value, people with whom I've worked as an individual coach and who understand the value individual coaching brings in, maybe is an opportunity rather than taking the toughest nut to crack, because that also exerts a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
So,
and just the last point, it's not an easy journey, but not an impossible one also, because there is a legacy of facilitation, training, storytellers, everybody doing their own bit for their own reason. And now we are saying, I'll bring everything to you. Sounds unbelievable, right? That's the journey.
I just have something to add in here from my perspective. To answer your question, Rajesh, it's like, I look at all the other team development modalities, whether it be training or facilitation, workshops that we do. Most of them tend to be a one-time engagement. So it's probably at the end of it, there is a high, suddenly people are feeling very connected, bonded, the trust is very high. But when they go back to their workplaces, they actually get back to their original behaviors, because what happens is what is actually keeping them there is not addressed in those sessions. I think team coaching is an intervention which is definitely not one time, and there is enough follow-up. And the focus here is to understand what is keeping them there. Why is trust an issue? Why are people avoiding conflicts? Are everyone feeling heard, seen in the team? Right? When we talk about diverse perspectives, do we have a culture to create a space for diverse perspectives? I think these are the ones primarily that is addressed in team coaching. And hence I feel, this is very different for people to try, because the ones that's been tried is completely different from what we're offering.
Yeah, it's exactly the difference between antibiotic and immunity boosters, right? So
Yeah.
Immunity booster need time, conviction, discipline, action, and antibiotics are fast. So here you go.
Yeah.
So we're working on the culture, we're working on environment, system, working on, and it's not easy. I'm just gonna say, if the guy sitting on the top is the key issue, what do you do? What do you do? And a lot of cases that is the thing, right? So yeah, it's an interesting, and it changes, it evolves. No two sessions are same. By the time you have met the team now, by the next team, either everything could have changed or nothing would have changed. All those things happen. So it brings a very interesting complexity mix of, how dynamics work, how a board member is influencing this, or how the market is influencing it, how somebody's personal situations or even pandemic impacted the culture of the team. So a lot of things to look at. It is not very linear in nature.
Very interesting, yeah, and Sandeep, and I would say very, very strong opportunity, team coaching.
Yeah,
very strong.
Yeah, I mean, Rajesh, sorry to challenge you a bit. We will not be getting a lot of individual engagements going forward, because team coaching is a way to optimize investment. Let's look at from the business point of view, because organizations say, yeah, I want it, and I want it in less price, and I want it for all of my people, but I cannot pay. So
yeah, and the transition from individual to group coaching is already there in the sense, for the lower, let's say only for senior leaders today, people are looking at individual coaches. They're trying to bundle certain behaviors, competencies, and bundle them as a group coaching engagement for the middle managers and below. And I think it makes sense, honestly. It makes sense.
In fact, the market is moving towards very high quality coaching. Either you are a very high quality coach that I can hire for my best people in my organization, or you're a team coach. The middle layer will struggle. It's already struggling, by the way. There's so many coaches not getting work.
Yeah.
So let's be honest. I mean, nothing to mask, right? This is reality.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I have a question.
Yes.
So, I saw in this group, everybody is a PCC, and, I've not even become ACC yet. But I was just curious about team coaching, because in this market where I am, it's like you said, team coaching comes after individual coaching. Even individual coaching is not recognized yet. It's maybe 15 years behind where India is. So now my question is that what is the level of coaching competency one requires before you jump into learning team coaching?
Interesting. Becoming a team coach is basically integrating all that you know and learning a little bit new. So if you're a storyteller or a creative art person or you've been doing trainings, just integrate all that. Team coaching provides you the opportunity to make it creative and integrate all that you know. Most of it is life skills, put it in a very organized fashion and understanding the dynamics of the team.
So, I mean, I started my career with a bit of training, but I've done it for my teams as such and for clients, but it's not my core expertise. Communication, yes. So I'm just wondering that, is there something I can learn and like build a program for this market? If I, is it too premature for me to jump into this? Or what do you feel?
So Geeta, you are not based in India. Did I understand it correctly?
She's in Kenya.
No, I'm based in
Kenya.
Nairobi.
Oh, Nairobi. Okay. Okay.
So,
yeah. So, just one point to make is that it's important that you understand what individual coaching is before you sign up for this program. It doesn't mean that you have to be a ACC or PCC. It means that you should understand, for example, what is being non-judgmental, what is being aware, what are good listening skills. And I think that is a threshold we expect for people who sign up for this program, because otherwise people may feel a little lost when we say listen well.
Yeah, sure.
In the sense,
No.
Yeah.
I'm working towards whatever ACC, but
so as long as that's the case, I think there would be you won't feel lost in the program in that case.
Yeah, because what I'm seeing in the market here is there is potential for training, but I don't want to go into regular training. I thought if I can create something which is very different, much more impactful, then it's something to look at. It's like using coaching skills and to get into creating a new kind of, service. So, yeah.
Geeta, I would say read the market to see what are the top 2 team related issues they face. And maybe build a program that goes over time. Anything which is an event doesn't have sustainability. Look for a program. Look for a immunity booster diet rather than antibiotic.
Yeah.
We don't want to offer fast solutions that doesn't sustain in development.
No.
Right. So look for top 2 key issues that maybe either observation or interviews or something. Say, hey, your teams are struggling with these 2 things. Let me help you resolve that. That could be a start of team coaching journey.
Yeah, right? Because even the market is at that stage where it's a very different market. It's really not into, it's like I said, imagine India 20 years ago. It's like you're talking about one Lala here, almost every business owner is in that mode.
But I also want to, challenge your thinking to say, if it is 15 years behind, doesn't mean it'll take 15 years more.
No. Coaching is catching up. It is catching up.
I mean, the last 15 years pace is now covered in 15 months or 15 days. That's how the world is going.
Yeah, true.
So not have past speed as your reference.
Yeah.
And whatever you can in your market. I mean, just go out, experiment, try out things. You will learn a lot in that process.
Yeah.
Say, I'm going to work collectively with your team. Just let me just go and do an interview to understand what's your key challenge. Let me just do a couple of interviews to see what comes out.
Yeah.
And everything is connected to behavior somewhere.
Yeah.
So what Jay is saying, absolutely right. And you could, for example, if you want to integrate the various kinds of trainings that you currently provide, which is a part of your repository, your skill set, etc.
No, I'm not actually doing. I'm trying to work on something with a team of people who want to do training. So that's why I was interested to see, how do I bring coaching into it?
Correct. So what I mean is, in that case, you have people who have the skill set of being trainers, right? Correct. So one way to do is that if I was to loosely say that, let's say you are speaking to a client, we need to convert it into an engagement, into a team coaching engagement. One possibility is that you could pick up, as we were discussing, a 360-degree questionnaire for a team. It could assess the team on multiple kind of either behaviors or actions or skills, let's say. And then depending on what comes out of that questionnaire, you could bring a journey together, which is a combination of facilitation and training to help them touch on those behaviors that they need to do.
Yeah.
So then what you're doing gets integrated in the form of a team coaching. Now, this still is not really team coaching, but this is something which you can take immediately from a program like this. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Rajesh is going to crucify me. Hey, kya bol raha hai?
All right. Thank you so much.
We are in a world where the more creative you are, the more effective it is. I mean, why not? I know you do pottery, Geeta. Why not blend that into? Why don't you? Why can't you create reflection space through pottery?
Yeah.
Start showing value. I mean, there is no dearth of experimentation and creativity we can get into. Blend stuff and bring everything that you know.
Yeah.
To create.
True. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. I think we are already on top of the hour. So if there aren't any more questions, I just would like to ask Jaya. I've seen some private chats with me, people talking about the discount that's being offered in this course, which is currently at 10%, and if there are any more that can be considered. So Jaya, would you like to answer that question?
One question that nobody leaves in India. Okay, I'm getting coached on how to handle these discount conversations comfortably. Okay, so here is what I can bring it on right away. There is already 10% for people who are ICF members or Abhyudaya alumni, and we can look at additional 5% for people here right now who attended the session at least 30-40% of the time. So I think that's what I can make up right now. So the calculation. Definitely.
I think that should definitely make people happy who have stayed on in this call and who have shown up today, and probably when is a good time for them to utilize this offer? Like, how long is this offer open?
Oh, yes, that's a good question. Today, if you sign up today, block your seat.
Okay.
It's not about paying the whole thing, just block your seat because the program is anyway starting on 31st of March. So we have hardly any time. That's the best I can do, I guess.
How long is this program?
2 months, Geeta.
And it's the same weekend?
It'll be on a weekday 3-hour class.
Okay.
It's a 30-hour program.
Okay.
So 10 classes, 3 hours each. Not 10 classes. Actually, you have some offline work as well.
8 classes.
It's 8 classes.
8 classes, 3 hour, 8 classes, 24 hours covered online, and rest of it 6 hours offline.
And what day and what time, Jaya?
Vipul, that's a very good and tricky question always. So we try to put the cohort together and decide the time together because, we don't want people to leave the program just because of the timing stuff. So we will plan it on a weekday. We have done it on Tuesdays so far, Wednesdays also. And this time, again, whoever finally comes up, we decide the time together.
Yeah, and we've time a little bit also depends on because people sometimes join from multiple time zones. Outside India also. So we've had programs sometimes where we've started even at 7 in the morning, 7 to 10, because a lot of people wanted to be back at their jobs or get started with the day, working professionals. And sometimes it also depends if people are joining from another time zone, then how do we kind of ensure that it's a reasonable time for everybody? But yes, the cadence is fixed. So once we fix a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever, and the time, then that remains fixed for the 8 weeks. And while obviously we expect everybody to be, in the session, every session, but in any case, the sessions are also recorded. So in case you want access to those sessions, either because you've not been able to attend for some extreme reason, or if you want to refresh, the recordings are available.
Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Right.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your questions. It just makes the conversation very interesting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This
Thank
was
you.
very
Thank you.
engaging.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Jay and Sandeep,